I am Couchcoop, and I suppose this video is a bit of a follow-up. I recently put out some content about Red Dead Redemption 2's campaign, and it making up, I would say, about 60% of that game's content. There's so much more off the beaten track with Red Dead Redemption 2. I spoke at length about its recent renaissance with shorts and social media, and all the little secrets you see with the NPCs and dialogues, throwing dynamite during a cutscene. Just putting the name Red Dead Redemption 2 into the front end of YouTube brings up shorts with millions and millions of views. Whether they're monetized or not, I'm not sure. Someone's got to fight YouTube's battle against TikTok. Get creators to do it for free. That brings me over to player 7, actually decent aspect ratio, and takes the time to point out some very cool Easter eggs. There's loads on this account and it's totally worth looking at. It was apparent that this game was full of hidden smaller things, but I don't think anyone knew how long it would keep us going with discovering new things. And that brings me over to the subject of this video, and it is an Easter egg related to a book which was written by someone called Cormac McCarthy. Let's establish exactly who that is. Cormac was an American author that recently passed last year in June, and he wrote some of the classics that have been made into films that I very much expect you would have seen. The book in question is called Blood Meridian, and it was written in the 80s, 85, and it was set in 1885, kind of pre-Red Dead Redemption 2, but some of the parameters of the character we're going to discuss could easily spill over into Red Dead lore. My first adapted novel by Cormac that I saw in film form was, of course, The Road, and it had a huge impact on me. It's one of the few Chazelle Theron films I can actually handle, and it's set in a viciously harsh dystopian nuclear winter, and it's very depressing. The film scored quite mid because of its message just being so down in the doldrums, but it's real and it's well written, and the book is just as strong as the film, if not stronger, and you'll see that with a lot of Cormac's material. And I was heavily into the Fallout series when I watched this, and I remember seeing some parallels. Subject matter refuses to romanticize, a radioactive winter, so definitely points scored with that. The second adaptation is more in line with the Western subject matter, and it's definitely something you've seen, directed by the Coen brothers. It is, of course, No Country for Old Men. Many say this is a true modern Western, and it's one of the most incredible Coen films out there. Let's talk about Blood Meridian itself, because it's quite a controversial title. It's a difficult read. It's full of murder, racism, slavery, terrible language, torture, death, and blood. It's a very gory piece of prose, and it comes with barely any grammar, but one of the highlights of the entire piece is a character called Judge Holden. Holden is billed as the main villain of the book, and he's written very mysteriously. The man doesn't eat or sleep, possesses all kinds of almost supernatural powers, appears sporadically through the book, but more importantly, Holden could be one of the more evil written characters in modern literary history. The guy is super scary. There's so many theories out there about him being potentially Lucifer or the devil and visiting the West during this traumatic time. He joins scalpers. The man just causes wars and watches mankind essentially rip itself apart, to which he just looks on with a huge grin and extreme pleasure.
Easy to be happy when you're half-wit.
No call for that, hear me?
So you can imagine my excitement when I stumbled across an Easter egg within this game. The years are different, but obviously Holden isn't a normal person, so it is feasible that he could step one foot into this universe. I'm a little bit disappointed that it's not a more dramatic Easter egg, but the fact that it's there and it's acknowledged is pretty damn cool. There's also a second clue to maybe another homage to the iconic character. Just briefly, and I will timestamp, the film Blood Meridian has been trying to get off the ground for over 2 decades, and James Franco was one of the more recent to sort of pick up that mantle. Obviously, the womanizing caught up with him, and that project has been scrapped, but it's still out there, and I wonder what would happen after Cormac's death with the rights, or where it would go, because I'd be super interested in seeing an adaptation of that book. In my travels to find this Easter egg, I actually stumbled across the incestuous cannibal couple. I hadn't had the pleasure of meeting them before, and sitting down at the table and then the altercation at the end. There's a number of ways this side quest can go, and it's a hell of a thing to have hidden up in the wilderness of the Red Dead map.
Hey, mister.
Well, you look like you need to take a load off.
Well, ain't this a rare treat? Why didn't you tell me we had guests coming? I'd have fixed myself up nice.
He soaked a few up, right? And I also nearly killed my own horse in that altercation, so it wasn't without its tension. I also approached some of the wrong buildings looking for this Easter egg. So let's do the map spot. So in Erisfield, right above Ringneck, you'll see a building that has got a front porch, not too dissimilar to the one we're looking at. There's 3 buildings, and what we are going after is a notice. It's a repossession notice. I'm also in a little bit of disbelief still that no one's utilised this unhooked camera that you get in the scenic mode that I thought was only for travelling on a horse or in a cart. And the camera is positioned to different spots throughout the map, a little bit like a replay on a driving game. So there are areas where you can work out exactly where you're going to cut to or where Arthur's going to be, and getting him to do the double switch on putting the revolver away. Okay, we're at the house, and what we are looking for is obviously the front door, and if you look closely you can see that there's a notice on it. Once you get hold of this, now you don't need extra quests, this is not part of a side quest, this is there for everybody, you just go and pick the damn thing up. The backstory behind the property itself I'm not too aware of, and there's more than one name on this notice. Look at the year, 1895, and that is a no dodge Easter egg straight to Blood Meridian. Name, everything spelled correctly. We do not know where he got his judge title from, by the way. I would love something in the comments about that. And yes, I did drag you through 7 minutes just to read a few lines of dialogue. However, I am a little bit annoyed that the judge isn't better represented, maybe as an NPC. I imagine there's all kinds of law and copyright around it, but a game that revolved around the world created by Cormac in Blood Meridian as a Western sort of canon Red Dead style thing would be unreal. It would obviously be R-rated and probably not make the shelves.
Oh, yes. I feel ready to take on the world.
Other American authors that I hold in very high regard, I would have to say Bret Easton Ellis, the author of American Psycho, but he also wrote a few other books, Less Than Zero, and even Luna Park, which isn't too bad, and of course the old obvious J.D. Salinger with Catcher in the Rye. I'll probably throw in Hunter S. Thompson in there, and I have been Couch Coot, and I will see you down there.
Ain't no good, ain't no bad, just things that make you feel good or make you feel sad, and just the length of time between being born and dying. That's all there is.